Hello and welcome back to the Green Workbench. So my community theater is doing an adaptation of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow this Halloween, and I volunteered, I guess is the right word, to create the Headless Horseman costume. So I thought it would be a pretty cool challenge. So I looked online and there aren't many out there. There's quite a few videos of costumes where it looks like the person is holding the head, so I can use some of those, but they're not really how-to videos. And mine is a little bit different because the head is still inside. So I've got some ready board, foam board here, some rigid foam, some glue. This is a luggage strap, and this is some nylon strapping that I've got, and that's what I'm going to start with. So most of the costumes you see online are for kids or people of small stature, and my Headless Horseman in the play is 6'5", which means that the neck of the costume is going to end up being at about 6'7", and so even though there's no head, the eye will calculate that this is a person that is probably 7 foot 8 inches tall. So he's a monster. Luckily, it's written into the script that he's huge. But that does complicate things a little bit for the costume because I want to try to draw attention away from how tall he is and focus more on the fact that he's headless and scary. And just like the legend, he'll be carrying a pumpkin head. Alright, so I got measurements first, and I am going to kind of start laying things out of what it's going to look like. So the first thing I need to do is create a harness. So the green luggage strap is going around his chest, and then I am creating shoulder straps, kind of like suspenders. So I cut the nylon strapping, created a loop, glued it together, and also used some heat to meld it together there. I'll let the glue dry and then I'll use some fasteners to strengthen that. So I did that for 2 shoulder harnesses or shoulder straps. Alright, this foam board is going to be the supports that go from the straps up to the fake shoulder pieces. And so I'm going to cut them into strips and then glue them together for strength. I'm going for as light as possible, so that's why I'm using the foam board. So with multiple pieces glued together, it should be pretty strong. So hopefully this works. So I'm going to cut them about 2 inches wide, and then I'll glue them 3 wide. Alright, I'm gluing them up. You can see I'm leaving a slot there where it'll go over the strap or the belt. Haven't quite figured that out yet, but just to be prepared. So I'm going to lay down these other pieces. They're 3 thick. I'll put a weight on top and let them dry. Alright, I've cut the 1-inch thick foam boards into 8-inch pieces. They will end up being my shoulders and neck. So I'm going to glue them together so I have one thick piece, and I'm going to glue 5 of them. So use plenty of glue, and then I'll put some weights on them to clamp them down. Alright, everything is glued, so I'm just going to let stuff dry. I am going to get a wire foam cutter to help me carve out the shoulders and neck. So I'm just going to order that online. So it should be here in a couple days. Alright. It's all glued up and dried. All these pieces are as well. They are pretty stiff. I mean, you still can break them, but they're pretty stiff when you have 3 of them together. So those will work well. And our shoulder harness is dry. Got a nice loop there. So now I'm waiting in the mail for my foam wire cutter. So I'm going to draw this shoulder and neck profile here that I will end up carving out. Alright, got my glued foam, kind of drawn the outline. Shoulders are the same width as the shoulders of my actor. And this here would be where his head will sit. It kind of sit over his head. So I will cut that with a foam cutting tool. Also my glued pieces with 3. They're pretty rigid. I mean, I could still break them, but you'd have to try. And on my shoulder strap, I went in and put holes, so like a belt, so it's adjustable over the shoulders. And I used an old soldering iron to just burn through it, so that since it's nylon, now it's nice and sealed. And I just burn through both directions, seal both sides. But that'll make it easily adjustable, so around the chest is adjustable, and over the shoulders is adjustable. Alright, so I have the holes like the belt. These are just little 4mm bolts with washer and nut, so that they're adjustable. Because remember, the actor is bigger than me, so I need him here to fit it. And it's nice if it can be adjustable, especially if something happens and it needs to go to someone else. So I've got the suspenders, and then a piece across the back as well to keep them from sliding off your shoulders. And again, it's adjustable. And then I have holes for bolts down here too, although the glue and melting these together, I don't think I need them, but I can add those if I feel like I need the extra. So the harness is done, other than just fitting it to him, which I'll need to do before I actually create the stands for the shoulders. So the next thing for me to do is to carve the shoulders and the neck, and then fit it with him. Alright, I've received my Go Change electric foam cutting tools kit. Our instruction manual. In piece, the different cutters. Just plug in. Short one, long one. Our outlet. Oh, and then under here is our wire. Got some extra wire. That's nice. Stand. And the wire cutter. So I'm going to start by using this wire cutter. So there's a guide when you plug it in. We'll get going and see how it works. Wire cutter worked really well for my rough outline. So now I'll probably get the pen piece and start carving. Shoulders and necks are difficult because the neck, they're not straight up and down. The neck is forward on the body. So I've got to bring the chest in a little bit in the back. That makes sense. Here. Okay, so I'll just start rough carving. All right, I have got the shoulders, neck all carved. The neck I'm going to end up carving vertebrae and putting in some tubes and stuff for the veins and arteries, but I don't know exactly how gory the director wants it yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. So now I need to attach this piece to the harness, and I'll need my actor for that to do some measurements. Alright, I've cut 4 strips at 2 inches each, and I'm going to glue them together 2 and 2, and they will be the main supports that go between the shoulder and shoulder harness up to the fake or faux shoulder and neck. So I'll glue those together and put some weights on them. Alright, so these are 2-inch square pieces of foam. These are really important because these are what basically the columns or they bear the weight. So the weight goes from the styrofoam shoulder to the real shoulder, and it's all on these columns. So I've marked them out on each side, and then I'm carving out so that they will set inside, and I'm actually using a Dremel tool to do that. So then they'll inset, I'll glue them so that they're level and square, and they'll form really strong supports, supporting the weight down to his shoulders. It's really light right now, but once he puts the big coat on it and everything, it'll be heavy. Okay, so I drew a straight line here so the head doesn't quite touch my arc, and then measure down the distance from my actor's top of his head to his shoulders, and I cut that also with a little arc so it will sit nicely on his shoulders. So I need to basically make a loop so that I can attach the shoulder piece to the harness. So I'm going to make that out of duct tape. Basically create a 2-sided loop that will open and then attach it with duct tape. You'll see what it looks like as I go. Alright, so I threaded it through here. So I'm going to use these, remember these other pieces? They'll be attached to the back piece and go up to the top to keep it from rocking like this. So that way it won't rock back and forth, but this is a basic function.